Welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Trey. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, listen, no matter how you consume the product. We appreciate you for being here. We've got a really good show for you today. We got him. We got Ja'Rome Johnson on the program. He is the MVP of the 2024 IFL season. I've been trying to get him on for a little while now, and we finally made it happen. So was excited to talk through his football journey, talk about his time in Green Bay in 2023, what he learned about the indoor game, and then his explosive 2024 season in Vegas and how he was able to adapt and really turn in one of the best seasons we've seen in indoor football, period. So it was great to be able to chat with him. So we'll get to him in just a second. We've also got some IFL and AF1 news that we'll dive into. Some good, some not so good, which is usually the case, unfortunately. But before we dive into that, please make sure you're following us on socials. We're at Off the Wall FB. F as in foot, B as in ball. We're in the description. So if you can't remember that, just scroll down just a hair. If you're on your phone, do that. If you're on your computer, scroll on the old trackpad and go down and give us a follow. We're on Instagram. We're on X/Twitter. We're on TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky. So give us a follow wherever you're on socials. We're probably there. And if there's a social that you're on that I didn't list, let me know what that is. Well, we might have to get involved with it. Might have to see what the deal is. But if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you're liking the video and subscribing as well. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please make sure you're going to the show page, rating it 5 stars, and sharing it with a friend. The arena football season is around the corner. We've got AF1 Week 0 kicking off. We've got NAL Week 1 kicking off this week. So it's a very exciting time in arena football. So be sure to subscribe and make sure you're staying up to date on all the good stuff and the not so good stuff, unfortunately, that we'll talk about. But enough of that. Here's the interview with IFL MVP Ja'Rome Johnson. All right, joining us on the show today, he's one of the most electric playmakers in the IFL. He's the quarterback for the Vegas Nighthawks, and he is the reigning IFL MVP. His name is Ja'Rome Johnson. Ja'Rome, glad we could finally make this happen. How has your offseason been for you so far?
Offseason's been good. Just training, staying in shape, getting ready for the season.
Before we dive too far into arena football, tell us a little bit about yourself and your football journey up to this point that led you to the IFL.
So believe it or not, I didn't get into football until like 8th, 9th grade. I always played basketball. My mom played basketball growing up, so I was always in like basketball household. My mom is 6 feet, so she's pretty tall.
Oh yeah.
So I was always like traveling, playing AAU basketball. I didn't play organized football until like the 8th grade.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't play organized football until I got to middle school.
Okay.
And once I seen that I was good at it, I seen I was good at it, so I just kept with it. And I didn't play quarterback until I got to high school.
Oh, wow.
Our quarterback got hurt like week 4 of our high school season, and we needed a guy to play. And I'm like, I can do it. So I went from there.
Why not?
And never looked back from there.
Yeah, that's great. So what was that? What was that adjustment like? What were you playing before quarterback?
Play receiver.
Okay.
So I was still on the opposite side of the ball, but playing quarterback was a different type of fun growing up because you always touch the football. Football is always in your head. So
yeah,
it was a different type of fun growing up, especially playing with I always played with my friends. So we used to always make little jokes about each other about it.
Yeah, usually you hear about players starting at quarterback then going to receiver. It's kind of funny to hear the opposite with you, starting at receiver then going to quarterback and be like, hey, this is pretty cool. I'm into this.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, how it happened was so funny because we was at practice and like one of my childhood friends was like, hey, Coach, Ja'Rome could throw the ball. Because at first I didn't want to do it. He's like, at first, Ja'Rome could throw the ball. So it just went from there. And I always give him crap about it today. Like, you're the reason that I play quarterback. So you always try to take credit for it.
Yeah. He gets like 5% of that MVP trophy from last year because without him, it wouldn't have made that switch.
Yeah.
So you're playing through high school, going through the high school years playing quarterback, going into college. What did that process look like, and where'd you play college football?
So I started off at UVA-Wise.
Okay.
As a freshman, By week 3, I was starting the rest of the season. I think we ended up
Nice.
finishing like 6-5.
Uh-huh.
So sophomore year came around. First game of the season, I got hurt, ripped my shoulder apart,
Oh,
and from there it was just like a mind thing. Like when you get hurt, you got to go. It's a lot more to do with like off the field things than really football. It messes with you a
right.
little bit. So, and I was about to, say just forget football, finish school, go back
Right.
home and finish school. But my mom and again the same childhood friend talked me into like transferring and giving one more shot. They was like, just give it one more chance. That might not just be the place for you. So I
Right.
ended
Yeah.
up transferring to Bowie, and that was probably the best decision I could have made in my life. Like
Awesome.
it changed the perspective for me, just the brotherhood there, the coaches, the players, and then I never lost a game in CIAA either. So
There
that
you
was
go.
pretty
That
cool.
helps. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And we went on to win 2 straight championships.
Wow.
My senior year, we made it to I think the 3rd round of playoffs, the farthest in school history. Ended up losing
Very
about
cool.
Dawson. It was pretty bad. Half of the team was
Yeah.
hurt. It was a lot, but we lost about Dawson. Finished my college career up, did my pro day. You know, things didn't work the way I wanted to during my pro day. My daughter was also born on homecoming my senior year, so I
Okay.
left from the hospital to play a football game. So I went from my daughter was born at 2:01 in the morning. I probably left the hospital like 9 in the morning, got to Bowie around like 10, 11, and he was playing at 1
Wow.
o'clock for homecoming. After the game, went straight back to the hospital, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah. What a
And
day.
I think I scored like 7, 8 times in the game too, so it's pretty cool. Pretty
There you go.
cool.
Yeah.
And I think 2022 went by. I took a year off, spent some time with my daughter,
Right.
and then I went to the Major League Football thing.
Okay.
That we went through camp. It got shut down a week before the season started. I really didn't know what was going to happen after that, but I got the call from Coach Robeson in Green Bay. So I ended up going there 2023, played there, like had a pretty good start to my rookie season. Then I ended up tearing my MCL like around week 7, week 8. And again, went back to, asking myself just really what I want to do with football.
Yeah.
It was hard. I couldn't play. Just not being able to play and seeing everybody else playing is kind of difficult being a football player.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone else is having fun. You're just like,
Yeah,
all
like
right.
people, they traveling, sitting at home, it's just straight therapy, rehab.
Yeah.
It was a lot on the mind, especially being away from home. So it
Right.
was,
Yeah. That's tough.
I love the guys in Green Bay though. Good team, good coaching staff. After the season, I just thought it was just time for me, just have a fresh start. And that's how I ended up getting into Vegas. And it was just up from there. Like I got
Yeah.
here,
For real.
great coaching staff, it's a great group of guys. Like we still, like even during the all season, we called each other every day. Like I just seen Bryce and Q yesterday, so it's pretty
Oh,
cool.
very cool.
Pretty cool to see the guys.
Yeah.
I had a joke with Bryce and told him I wouldn't be the MVP without him.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bryce
He's getting
always
those stops all year.
yeah, practice was insane during the whole season.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we used to always say, practice is harder than the game because we were competing against the best players. To me, at
Yeah.
least the best players.
Yeah. You had to go up against Bryce. Bryce said the same thing about you. He's like, I didn't have to play Ja'Rome in a game, so that was nice.
Yeah, so I got to really see everything, especially the coaching staff we got here helped me out a
Yeah.
lot. Coach Chen helped me out a lot. Coach
Yeah.
Bly, it's a group of good guys here. So
Right.
it just went up from here.
Awesome. Well, but we'll dive into Green Bay here in a second. But I heard in another interview you did that one of your coaches at Bowie played arena football back in the day. Did you have a conversation with him about arena ball before you decided to make the leap? And what did that look like?
Yes. So my receiver coach, my senior year, Coach Dougie, he played
Mhm.
the Baylors, the DC team, when they won the championship back in the day. So
Okay. Yeah.
he actually like had a relationship with Coach Mike. So he already knew Coach Mike before I got here.
Oh, very
So
cool.
he had a little part. he gave me the runaround and, told me like the type of game I got, it'd
Right.
be real good for me to give it a shot. Like, don't downplay it because it's indoor football type deal.
Right. Yeah. Putting some stuff on tape is better than sitting at home, right?
Yeah, for sure. I tell people that now. Like people think coming out of college, a lot of people think they're better than indoor football. So I'm like, football is football. Like you'd
Yeah.
rather be sitting on your couch than playing football. It doesn't make any sense to me. So
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So you mentioned joining Green Bay. You joined one of the more tenured franchises in the IFL with the Blizzard for your rookie season. What was it like playing in Green Bay for Coach Roberson? Like you said, why you kind of got adjusted to that indoor game?
So Coach Roberson was trying to get me there in 2022 when I took the break.
Mm.
He was trying to get me there in 2022 when I took the break, and I was telling him like, my daughter was just born. I really wasn't sure what I was going to do yet, but
Right.
he stayed steady on it. So when I finally decided, I was like, because I had a chance to go to Bay Area too in my
Okay.
rookie season. I had a contract with them too, but I chose Green Bay because Coach Rose. I built a relationship with Coach Roberson. We
Right. Yeah.
talked from week. So I'm like, I'm gonna go there. And the fan base in Green Bay was incredible. Like they take football serious in
Oh
Green
yeah.
Bay. So game
Yeah.
days packed, a lot of kids running around, signing the footballs. It's cool. It's cool. It was very cold though. Can't say that.
Yeah. Oh,
Very.
I believe that. Yeah.
And we did our camp in Michigan. Like that was the first time we left. So we went up to Michigan to do our camp. We was in like cabins and whatnot, snow,
Uh,
super cold.
yeah. Oh yeah. I bet.
Yeah. And I build a relationship with the guys there. Me and Max still talk to each other from here and there today. Max is a cool
That's
guy.
awesome.
Cool
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you look back on 2023, both you and Max Mailer are on the same roster. It's like, dang, that was an embarrassment of riches for Green Bay. Like, both of you are
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. It was a crazy camp, tough camp. I just happened to pull out the job. But Max is a
Yeah,
very good player. Very good
yeah,
football
for
player.
sure. So the offensive coordinator for Green Bay, I'm gonna probably butcher his name, but I'll just say Coach Matt. The last name's gonna get me. But actually played in the IFL as well prior to being a coordinator. What did you learn from him, being that he had that experience as a QB in the IFL? What did you learn from him about adjusting to that style of play?
So he used to tell me like everything's gonna happen quick because and I didn't believe he was that good until he showed me his tape. I'm like, Lord, he was pretty good because I hear everybody
Yeah,
talk about it. I'm like, Coach, that was pretty good. But he used to help me out, like speeding up my process. So when I first got there, I'm still thinking, it's outdoor. I'm not making my reads and adjustments very quick. Like playing quarterback, you got a split second to, figure things out. Even with
yeah,
reading, when running a run play, the throwing plays, you got to know what you're going to do as soon as you step out there and send them in motion. When you send them in motion, you got to know what's going on, the coverage and
right.
whatnot. So everything, he helped me out with that, everything, speeding the process up. And I still talk to him from here and there too. So he checked on me too. So that's why I said they
That's
had a
great.
great coaching staff.
Yeah. Yeah, in the indoor game, there's no 5, 7 step dropbacks.
Uh-uh.
It's like you got to get rid of that thing quick.
You got to catch and get rid of it. And
Uh-huh, yep.
it's a good chance you're still going to get hit getting rid of it. So
Yeah, exactly. Especially with some of the new rules coming this upcoming season, it's gonna be a different game than what's been played over the past couple of years. Speaking of defense, Coach Roberson, he was quite the DB in his day too. What did you learn from him from his defense? Like he's a defensive minded coach because he played on that side of the ball. What were some of the things you learned from him being that like they teach you any tips and tricks of like, hey, a DB's trying to do this to you. Don't let him do that to you.
yeah, he used to sit in our office at meetings, pick at me when I used to do things wrong and whatnot. So he helped me out a lot because again, he's a big zone guy. A lot of people in arena football play man, but he's a big zone guy, and that it's kind of different for a rookie quarterback coming in. You expect people to blitz and play man since you're a rookie. But
Right.
Coach Rowe helped me figure out the learn. I don't want to say learn coverages because it's the same. It's just less people, but
Right.
learning
Yeah.
it in an in way. Yeah.
It's a confined space. Like it's the same
It
concept, just in a different language almost.
ain't that much space, and it's just three less guys on the field. So
Right. Yeah. So I noticed this is a weird one-off question, but I noticed in some of the games in Green Bay you were wearing two gloves, and then in Vegas you weren't wearing any gloves. What goes into the decision to wear gloves on in the indoor game as a QB? Was it just like better grip on the ball, or what was the deal with that?
So we first got there in camp, and I went to throw the ball, and it went backwards.
Oh
So
no.
Coach Matt was like, you might want to try to put another glove on because again, he used two gloves when he played. He was like, it helped
Yeah,
me. No, just give it a try. So
yeah,
whenever the ball got wet, that ball is slick when it gets wet,
uh-huh,
like
yeah,
slick. So it kind of helped out, but I kind of got away from it when I got back here because the
yeah,
ball is more prepped. They got more grip and sticky because everybody
yeah,
uses
yeah,
different balls. Like everybody footballs are different. Some of footballs are smaller than others. It's kind of weird, but
yeah.
football's got pretty good grip over here where I didn't need to wear a glove.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I was scrolling through Instagram looking at some of the pictures. I'm like, he's wearing two gloves in this picture. Like, what happened there? But that's interesting to hear. So you wrap up your rookie season, Green Bay, 23 touchdowns in the air, 13 touchdowns on the ground before you got hurt, like you said. What did free agency look like for you after that rookie season, and what ultimately led you to wanting to sign with the Nighthawks?
Free agency was at a standstill, really. I didn't really know where I was going to be and what I was going to do.
Hmm.
So I knew I still wanted to play. I just didn't know where. And,
Gotcha.
Coach Robeson helped me with that again. So he helped me, figure out what was the best situation for me to go to. And
Right.
that's why I will always be thankful for him being my coaches because he helped me. Even though he don't like situation like that, you don't have to help a person. He still chose to help. He was like, they got a good coaching staff over there. You'll fit in. It just it's already two quarterbacks there. You got to make your way. And me, I
Right.
don't run away from talents. I've never been that guy to run away from talents. I know what I
Yeah.
can do and what I put on. So I'm like, let's do it. I get here. It's me and two other great quarterbacks, Raina
Hmm.
and Joe. Real good friends with them. Talk with them. End up, winning the job there. And even though when we still winning the job, we all three, still helped each other out with things. So I come to the sideline
Right.
and Joe and Raina like, hey, this over there. I asked them, did they see anything different? So it was never somebody being mad that the next person wasn't playing.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, all three, all three of y'all again, you ran into another quarterback situation where it's like, dang, that room was good. Like when Mancuso was tearing it up for Duke City last year, Reyna's going to be tearing it up for San Antonio probably this year. So it's like, man, every room you're in, it's a good quarterback room. So that's a good situation, a real iron sharpens iron type of thing.
Yeah.
So you're in Vegas. You start off white hot last year. I think you started off what 7-0. I remember watching that first Arizona game. I was watching it live, and I was just thinking, this team is different. Like there's something about them, and I was just the way like I think you came in like 14-point underdogs to Arizona, and you just took it to them. What resonated
Yeah.
with the group so early that made you guys be able to hit the ground running and really mesh from the get-go?
That goes back to camp. We outside. It's 90 plus degrees. It's hot, battling against each other. And again, I go back to the coaching staff having us prepared, to go in and play. And with the group of guys we had a great group of guys, like offensively and defensively.
Hmm.
So we knew we could compete with anybody. So we didn't really look at the point spread on that like that. We didn't really worry about that. We know we can compete
Yeah,
with anybody or anything. And we used to
yeah,
tell ourselves like the only team that could beat us is the Vegas Nighthawks.
right, yeah. Yeah, it seemed like week in, week out, you guys were getting better and better as the season progressed. Hit a little bit of a skid in the middle of the season, but then you picked it back up towards the end. What were some adjustments that you made while you were kind of figuring things out in the middle of the season to be able to finish the season strong?
Yeah, I just had to take a step back and look in the mirror and, criticize myself. Like, ask myself, what can I do better as a player? And
Right.
that's when things really started to click. You really don't need to prove the next person wrong. Like, people could say, oh, he don't really throw, he's just a runner. I
Yeah.
stopped trying to prove everybody else wrong and, prove myself right. I know what I really just stopped worrying about the next person and what the next person got to say. I'm just go out there and play football and do what I do best. Yeah, I looked in the mirror. I think those three stretches when we played Tucson, Sioux Falls, just look myself in the mirror, ask myself, how can I become a better player?
Yeah.
And my teammates helped me through that situation too. So my receiver group was right there with me, figuring it out with me. That's why I say, like, I treat these guys like family.
And speaking of that receiver group, that was an incredible group of receivers that he had last year. Like you look up and down the roster, it's like, man, it didn't matter what three guys he put out there. It was a stellar group. And when I was talking with CJ last fall, he said it was called the Flight Club, which is just such a great name for a group like that. What was it about them that made them as dynamic as they were? Where it got to a point where it was like, you just got to throw the ball in their general direction. They're going to come down with it.
Yeah, they used to have competitions with each other, like who who's better than the next person. So it was always them trying to beat each other up. So practice used to be hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
Like Q and CJ would be like, "Oh, if you was checking me, I'd do this to you." I'm like, both of y'all play receiver, don't not one of y'all play DB. So it was always, yeah. I'm like, what are y'all saying? Like, but those group of guys were special, man. Like, if the ball is in it's no 50-50 balls for them. It was always 90-10.
Yeah.
If it's in their facility, they're coming down with the ball. And they made my life a lot easier.
Uh-huh.
So especially with me being mobile, so a lot of teams, had to play man, and I'm taking them over whoever's checking them any day.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Any day. And we had and our receiver group was like a big group. Like, I think Q was the smallest one out of the group, and he's like 6'2", 215, 210, and he was the smallest out of the group.
Yeah.
So it was a big group of guys.
Yeah, that's saying something when a 6'2" receiver is the small one. That's incredible.
Yeah. I used to get to the huddle and have to look up to talk to everybody. So I'm like, yeah.
So you mentioned Coach Chin working in the offense with Coach Chin. What's that been like? He is such a great coach, and I'm sure he's going to get another head coaching opportunity here soon. He just has such a sharp mind for offense in the indoor football game.
Oh, it was pretty good. So Coach Chin used to always get on me, and it's a good thing because he expect more out of me. He want me to always be the best person I could be. So it was always like trying to make me better. So I'm like, damn, like, you're always getting on me, but it was a good way though. Like, it was trying to make me a player. So I really like in my exit meeting, I told him, like, I appreciate you for doing what you're doing, because a lot of people would just say they forget it. Like, hey, you don't want to do this. So he used to always stay on me, make sure I do what I got to do, and just trying to make me a better person and a better man off the field. So I really appreciate it for that.
One of my favorite things about Vegas last year was looking forward to what the uniform combo was going to be for any given week. Like, it didn't matter what week it was, whatever you guys were coming out with, it was going to look nice. What was your favorite uniform combo from last season?
So my favorite was the all reds, but we only wore them twice. And that's Q fault. I blame Q for that, because he's the guy that get to pick what we wear. So you
really
like, bro, can we please wear red? Like I like the all reds, but this season coming up, the white is the white. I got to see the new uniform. The white is my favorite.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, with the chrome helmet, and then like if it was the black on black or the white on white or the red on red, it's like it didn't matter. Like it all looked good. And then like the specialty jerseys, like even those were great. Like, it was just kudos to whoever put together those jerseys.
Yeah, like the gray ones. I asked, can we actually get like regular gray uniforms? The military jerseys we wore.
Like,
get gray uniforms.
Yeah, right.
I even like the blue ones we wore, like the superhero drinks we wore.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We always had some good uniforms, good helmets and whatnot.
Yeah, it's like every week's a color rush with the Vegas Nighthawks, which is it's cool to see. So I was going through some interviews I found on YouTube, and I saw a couple snippets of you talking to the press and reporters after games. What's that like? Like, do you just have like answers locked in? You're like, all right, I know I'm going to say A, B, or C. Regardless, like, do you have things locked in for certain situations, or do you just kind of go in and be like, all right, whatever they ask, I'll give it to them straight up?
Whatever they ask, I just just answer, to be honest. I've never been a guy that liked to be in front of the camera. So I
Yeah.
always get like my teammates always get on me about like, bro, like go talk. I'm like, I really don't want to be in front of the camera. I'm not like a spotlight guy. I've never been that
Yeah,
guy.
right.
So after the game, they try to find me. I try to hide. They come to my locker, get me
They come get
talking
you.
to them, but it's never. I always, whatever they ask me, I just answer the question because I never know
Right.
what they're
Yeah.
going to ask. So I just
Right.
answer the question.
So last thing we're gonna do here, we're gonna do a little this or that. So I'll answer like ask you, do you prefer this or do you prefer that? And we'll just kind of rapid fire through a couple things. All right.
Okay.
All right. So we got the all black Nighthawks jerseys or the all white Nighthawks jerseys. Which you like better?
Black.
Okay. So 45-yard passing touchdown or 45-yard rushing touchdown? Which one you like better? Which feels better in the moment?
Pass.
Passing. So like
Yeah,
are we talking like deep bomb that travels 40 or like a slant and go and seeing the guy kind of do the work for you?
either one is fine with me. I don't have to
Yeah,
run, so
they all count
either
the
one.
same. They all count the same. So do you like a game-winning drive at home or a game-winning drive on the road?
On the road. It's the crowd gets into it, you're away, so I prefer on the road.
Yeah, being able to silence the crowd. Oh man, that's quite. I bet that's quite a moment. You a coffee or energy drink guy?
To be honest, I don't drink either. I stopped
Neither.
drinking
Okay.
coffee. And I stopped drinking coffee a long time ago. Yeah, and
Okay.
I never drank an energy drink ever. So
All right. All right. He's just naturally full of life, folks. Look at him. He doesn't need it. Then last one, are you a dog guy or a cat guy?
I'm a dog guy. I have a pit bull, like an 83-pound pit bull, big guy.
What's the Pipple's name?
7, like the number
Seven.
7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he named after your favorite receiver from last year?
No, I mean, no. My favorite. I wore number 7 my whole life. That's my favorite number. So
Okay.
that's why. But I closed that chapter when I got to Green Bay.
I got you. Yeah. CJ wanted me to throw that in there since we got him when CJ was on. So he was like, "Look, you got to throw this in there." So that's for you, CJ, if you're watching, if you're listening. But man, this has been a ton of fun. I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of talk through your journey, and I'm really excited to see what's next for you in 2025. What are you most excited for as training camp is around the corner with this 2025 Vegas Nighthawks team?
I'm excited, man. We got back 11 guys. I think that's the first time in Nighthawk history they brought back 11 guys,
Yeah,
and new guys coming in are pretty good too. So ready
let's
to get
go.
to it. We didn't finish the season off the way we wanted to, so we got
Mhm.
we got a lot to build from. But we have a standard here now. So we got to get back to it. We got to get to Tucson. That's the goal. That's the end goal. Get to Tucson.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, the championship isn't at home this time. You're gonna have to travel a little bit for it. But so where can people follow you on socials?
I pretty much just use Instagram, and it's
Okay,
JROC7 underscore. I really just use Instagram. I'm really not a big social media guy for real, for real.
gotcha. Gotcha. Well, we'll link that in the description. That way, people listening or watching this can give you a follow and follow along your journey and see what 2025 has in store for you. I'm excited to see you in Vegas hit the field and do your thing and run it back and more from 2024.
Yeah.
So this has been a ton of fun, like I said, and I'll look we'll stay in touch going forward. All right.
Oh yeah, pretty sure.
All right, take care, Jerome. Big thanks again to Jerome for hopping on the show this week and talking about his football journey. Again, make sure you're following him. His social on Instagram is in the description below. So big thanks again to Jerome. Diving into some IFL news, only have some transaction stuff to talk through. Nothing major yet. We're still waiting on a couple things to formally be announced with the IFL outside of personnel, but a couple things that really stood out to me. Number one is Arizona Rattlers are bringing back running back Shannon Brooks. Shannon Brooks was awesome last year for the Rattlers as they made their march through the playoffs and captured the IFL National Championship in Vegas. He's a very important piece of the puzzle, and he is back. It's going to be interesting to see how he pairs with Drew Powell at quarterback. Drew Powell is a very different styled runner than Dalton Snead, who was the quarterback for Arizona last year. Drew Powell, he's a much larger quarterback than Dalton Snead, and he can run you over as well as evade you. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic, especially with Arizona running a lot of read option. Shannon Brooks can really ram it down your throat up the middle, but then Drew Powell can easily pull it and take it to the outside. So it's going to be a very unique approach compared to last year, where it might have been a little more finesse around the corner, but. Yeah, the Arizona Rattlers, they find a way to reload. They find a way to find some really good youth talent, but being able to bring back some of these veteran pieces like Powell, like Shannon Brooks, like Elijah Lilly over from San Diego, being able to bring some of these pieces together and build around that is going to be Arizona's going to be a fun team to watch again. And then moving over to San Antonio, they brought in another quarterback, this time quarterback Ed Crouch. So Ed Crouch spent some time with the Wichita Regulators in the AFL in 2024. He was signed with Wilkes-Barre Mavericks in offseason of 2025 before they folded last month. So he started to figure some things out with Wichita last year, to his credit, and it looked like he was going to be in a good spot in Wilkes-Barre for this upcoming season before that situation took a turn. It's an already crowded quarterback room for the San Antonio Gunslingers, but it's getting a little more crowded. So already on the roster, we got Ed Crouch, we got Guy Myers, and then we got George Reyna. So we don't really see teams roll with three quarterbacks that often. I think Vegas did last year at the beginning, as Jerome mentioned in the interview earlier with Joe Mancuso, George Reyna, and then Ja'Rome Johnson. Last season, they rolled with three for a little bit. You don't really see that too often in the IFL, so I would imagine you're in a start one, bench one, cut one situation with those three, and you can make a case for any combination of those two to be the starter and to be the backup, or vice versa. So it's going to be a tough decision. And on the branded the coaches show for the San Antonio Gunslingers, Coach Tom Menas, he said, "Who would you tell me who to cut? Tell me who I should cut, and we'll do it." And he welcomed the quarterback competition aspect, and should be an iron sharpens iron situation. And they're going to need a sharp sword to come out of training camp, because they're going to be replacing Sam Castronova, who was just unbelievable last year, nearly 100 total touchdowns. He's no longer in the league, let alone with the San Antonio Gunslingers. So quarterback room got a little more crowded in San Antonio, but I don't think Coach Menas would have it any other way. We're going to jump over to AF1 now, and AF1 announced a couple of partnerships I thought were super interesting. So this week they announced the social betting marketplace BettorEdge and Real American Beer. So starting with BettorEdge, it's a peer-to-peer betting marketplace where instead of betting against the house, so to speak, you're betting against Tom, Joe, and Susie on the same game. So you're not betting against a sports book, so to say. You're betting against other people in the community, which is why it's legal in more states to be able to do. But it means we're getting betting lines for AF1 games, which is really exciting. It looks like we'll have spreads to start out, and as things start to work their way through the season, as they start to get a feel algorithm-wise for how games go and what the teams actually look like, we'll start to get some totals down the line. But in the game we'll preview in just a little bit, we have a line to work with, which is super exciting. If you watch the show in 2024, you'll know that one of my favorite parts of the week was going through the IFL lines and picking who I thought, or trying to predict what the lines would be first off, and then picking favorites, picking underdogs, overs, unders, blogging about it, tweeting about it, just the great wins, the brutal losses, and everywhere in between. So we're going to do a preview of that for the IFL in a couple of weeks, but we're talking about the AF1 now, and I'm excited to see what some of these lines look like and how the partnership with BettorEdge continues to grow from here. And then I mentioned Real American Beer. It is the official beer of AF1 now, and will be featured in different activations throughout the season, including one in Tampa, Florida this upcoming weekend. The commissioner, Jeff Fisher, and wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, who is the face of the beer, will be doing a public appearance in Tampa and doing an interview that's going to be recorded for Evergreen Now, the streaming service for the AF1. So it's an interesting partnership. We'll have to see how it grows and evolves from here. I have a feeling we're not done with the unique partnerships being announced just yet, but I'm really excited about the BettorEdge one. And you know what? I'll try the Real American Beer. Twist my arm. But what's better than partnerships? How about actual football being played? That's right. Let's do it. AF1 Week 0 is here. Only one game this week due to some shenanigans that we'll discuss here in a second. We got the Southwest Kansas Storm welcoming the Nashville Cats into Dodge City. So the Storm, according to BettorEdge, are favored by 9.5 points in the inaugural game of the AF1 era. A lot of folks probably see that 9.5 and they're like, oh, that's cool. I don't know about that. And some folks are very high on Nashville and probably would have taken Nashville straight up if it was a head to head. But I really like Southwest Kansas in this matchup in particular, mainly because it is their home venue. So it's like when in doubt, kind of lean towards the home team, especially in these situations. But there's a lot that's unknown about Nashville, in my opinion. They just haven't been as active on social. Roster moves have kind of been sporadic here and there. Kind of had to really dig for it. The wide receiver room for the Cats, I'm really intrigued by. I think it's an interesting group that they have there, but I'm not really sold on some of the other position groups just yet. I want to see them play before I can make a real judgment on one way or another. But I'm just not really big on the Cats right now, and I think a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, Coach Arbet, yeah, you got to go with Coach Arbet." I think people have already forgotten about 2023 and how the situation with Bay Area dissolved quick, fast, and in a hurry, and was not good. Eventually, Rob Keefe taking over and Dixie Wooten taking over, and Arbet quietly kind of getting the boot. So, it'll be interesting to see how Nashville comes out, if they're going to come out with a little bit of fire, if our bet's still got it. There's a lot that's unknown with Nashville up to this point, but I like Southwest Kansas. I think they're in a better spot with more returning pieces. They don't have all the pieces from last year. Some of the folks from last year got a call up to the UFL. Some, I think, their quarterback got an offer to play in the X League in Japan. Matt Struck. So a lot of players are getting opportunities in different areas, and that just speaks to the recruiting and the and scouting that the Southwest Kansas staff has done, and being able to find these diamonds in the rough. They still have wide receiver Daquan Bailey Brown, probably the fastest player in AF1, currently signed to a roster, and his versatility on kick returns, being the high motion man. He caught multiple 40, 50-yard passes last season. I think he's going to be an absolute weapon that Nashville has to account for immediately. And I think running back Logan Wright for the Southwest Kansas Storm, he's going to be a very important part of the game plan for Southwest Kansas. Vince DeLeo last year, they really used him in the running game, especially as the season went on. And I think they're going to pick up where they left off and really utilize him early and often, and going to be a focal point of the offense, because Southwest Kansas, they love running the ball with the quarterback and handing off to the running back out of the shotgun, doing a lot of read option type stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But I like Southwest Kansas in this one. I think the Storm take this one 45-34, thus covering the 9.5. So I'm taking the Storm minus 9.5. Here goes nothing. Let's see if we start off the AF1 era 1-0 or 0-1. So there were two games set for week 0, but I mentioned some shenanigans that occurred that took those two games down to one. And if you're watching this, you probably already know what I'm about to say, but the Orlando Predators are out of Arena Football 1. A bombshell was dropped on Tuesday night when the AF1 posted a press release kind of detailing that the Predators were ceasing operations just 4 days before they were set to play the inaugural game. They were supposed to play in Southwest Kansas, not Nashville. Um, and there's lots of finger pointing from the Predators to the league, from the league to the Predators. It's messy, especially as the Orlando Predators released their own statement, kind of firing back at the league. So the AF1 posted the press release first, which absolutely scolded the Orlando Predators for how this all went down, especially a couple weeks or a couple days before the season was set to kick off. So go check out that press release. It's like for my rap fans out there. Imagine Kendrick Lamar meet the Grams. What he did to Drake there, that's kind of what AF1 did to to the Orlando Predators in their press release. But yeah, it's brutal. It sounds like the Predators are in the process of being sold, and part of the prerequisite of being sold was that they had to cease operations immediately and not participate in the AF1 season, which is a little weird. Let's just be honest. That's a little strange, and it makes it seem like, with that being the case, the new ownership group that will be coming in, whether they're partners with owner John Chaney or taking over fully from John Chaney, seems like they may already have their next move in mind, because in the Orlando Predators statement, they mentioned that they're gearing up for a return to spring indoor football in 2026. Obviously, that won't be with AF1 because AF1 said kicked them out, expelled them from the league. And it's just a very messy situation that unfortunately um, really proves some of the naysayers and haters of the new league right in some ways, where they're still having issues like they did last year, but they're different. Last year, it was macro level league issues where they tried to do way too much. 16 teams, half of them being owned by the league, unclear direction on where these teams were going, what was happening. This year, there are teams folding, there are teams going dormant. That is correct, but the issues at least aren't at the league level. The issues appear to be on the individual team level. So it's still not good. I'm not saying that AF1 is totally innocent. There's a lot they could have done better in the vetting process. I think everybody involved, including the AF1 front office staff, will be the first. They'll be the first ones to admit that they probably could have done some things differently. But the issues this year seem to be really team based, where Orlando was all in until suddenly they weren't. Wilkes-Barre couldn't get their act together. Monterey couldn't get their act together in time to make the cut for 2025. Stockton couldn't get their act together. The individual teams are at fault in these situations, and so not to say that the league is totally innocent, but it's different in terms of what the issues are they're experiencing in 2025 versus what they experienced last year in the Hutton era. So still not great, but at the very least, I think the league itself will be okay as long as the teams can stay banded together and stay committed to the common goal, which some of the teams have come out and put out statements saying, like, hey, we're in this for long haul with AF1, yada yada, this, that, basically in direct retaliation to this Orlando Predators situation. But growing up as an Orlando Predators fan, I went to games in the late 90s and 2000s with my father, had season tickets. I'm talking like the Joe Hamilton, Corey Fleming, Kenny McIntyre era, Jimmy Frizzell, Travis McGriff. Like I can name EJ Burt, name a ton of these players. So it's just extremely disappointing to see how this went down with the Predators. It's like, dang it, my team is causing a lot of anguish. And if you would have polled 100 people that are familiar with the arena football space and said, hey, who's going to be the problem child in arena football one? Not very many of them would have said Orlando, just because Orlando has had that brand presence. They've had, like, it didn't appear like there were any issues. They had just put tickets on sale the same day as when they reached out to the league and said, like, hey, we're ceasing operations. So it's just timeline wise, it doesn't make sense. Everything was perfectly fine until it wasn't. Um, I don't know the specifics. I'm not going to pretend to, but from the outside looking in, it looks a little odd. And I feel like we're going to learn some information down the road about potential other leagues that will make all of this confusion that we're experiencing now make a lot more sense. I just don't know exactly what that is yet. The Orlando Predators statement didn't make a ton of sense. Um, it really, it honestly felt like a cover up, and it's just like, dang it, man. Why did it have to be the Predators? Why did it have to be Trey from Off the Wall? Why did it have to be his team that he loved growing up to be the problem child here? But yeah, Predators are out for 2025. They're with the way that press release was worded, I don't see them ever coming back to AF1, at least with anybody involved in the current ownership or leadership structure there. But yeah, it's a weird, messy situation that's going to continue to unfold from here, and I'm just excited for actual football to be played so that we can have some actual like on field content to talk about instead of this he said, she said, finger pointing. Oh, screw you, no, screw you. It's just exhausting, man. It's tough, but yeah, all that to say, Predators are out. Go read the press release from the AF1. Go read the press release from the Orlando Predators. Make up your own mind. Don't take my word for it. Yeah, it's a weird situation. In 2025, I'm also going to make a better effort to include the National Arena League, the NAL, in the off the wall coverage. Last year, I was kind of figuring things out with off the wall. I mainly stuck to IFL and a little bit of AFL, whatever games weren't canceled last season during that whole kerfuffle. Mainly with IFL. I knew the NAL was going on, but didn't really pay much attention to it. The NAL has grown a ton. They've introduced some really good teams from other leagues. We're talking about the Wheeling Miners, Columbus Lions, some really interesting small market expansion teams. We've got the Beaumont Renegades, the Shreveport Rougarou, the Omaha Beef. I mean, so many teams in the NAL with a lot of talent that I'm excited to learn more about and dig into. By no means am I an expert in the NAL. I am like opening NAL for dummies right now, just getting a lay of the land and getting an understanding of how things work down there. But I will say this past weekend in the NAL, I never thought that I would watch an NAL preseason game. I truly never thought I would. But I saw on social media that the Omaha Beef were playing the Minneapolis Warriors, and the Minneapolis Warriors were up 6-0 heading into the third quarter on the Omaha Beef. So I tuned in, and that was an unbelievable finish, and that was an all-time social media arena football night after the Omaha Beef, who hadn't lost in over 980 days. Any game, preseason, regular season, postseason, championships. They hadn't lost anything in 980 days since June of 2022. Then they drop a preseason game to an outdoor team that's ceasing operations for the rest of 2025. It was a wild finish, absolutely chaotic. I kind of recapped it on Instagram, so go check that out at Off the Wall FB. Go check out the reel that I posted, kind of recapping the whole ordeal. But I'm going to be paying more attention to NAL, going to be blogging about it more. So this is my verbal and video commitment to covering more NAL for the 2025 season. So if you have any intel, any insights on the NAL, please reach out to the socials. I'm learning the NAL landscape. Got real familiar with the IFL and have been real familiar with the AF1 landscape over the past year and a half, 2 years. So NAL is going to be brand new to me, but I'm interested in learning more. So reach out on socials. And that's the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, listen. Really appreciate the support and really appreciate you checking it out. Big thanks again to Ja'Rome Johnson for hopping on the show this week. It was really cool to be able to chop it up with him. Excited for AF1 Week 0 to kick off this weekend. Excited for NAL Week 1 to kick off this weekend. Training camp for IFL is going to open up here in a couple weeks. It's a very, very exciting time, and I'm thrilled to be in this spot and to be able to cover it and talk shop on socials. So if you're on socials, please give us a follow and join the conversation whenever we talk about IFL, AF1, NAL. Join the conversation and let's talk about it. At Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball. Again, at Off the Wall FB. We're on Instagram, we're on X/Twitter, we're on TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads as well. So go check us out on there. And if you're watching on YouTube, almost at 5 stars. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend. But if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, rate the show 5 stars and share it with a friend as well. It helps the old algo and helps us grow. So only 24 hours in a day. The fact that you chose to spend like 53 minutes of that day watching, listening to this means a lot. So come say hi on socials. It's football. It's indoor and arena football time. Let's go. Let's do it. We'll see you on socials and take care. Have a great rest of your week.